were, now had to tell you where they were, and everybody's yards had to be 5 miles apart from everybody else's. 2 miles? Ooh, 2 miles apart. And so, as a result of that, they'd lie about their honey crops. So if you ask them what kind of a honey crop they got, oh, it's terrible, just awful. And this went on and on. Well, we were at a meeting one time, and Denny innocently asked this one guy what he did for swarm control. And he went into this big, long explanation about he goes out to his yards and he takes the hives and he tips them over on their back. You think of doing this with 4 or 5 boxes? Anyway, he tips them over on the back. Well, if there are queen cells, now the queen cells will have a curve in them. They'll curve down. And as a result, the queens will not survive, and so therefore you eliminate your swarming problem. And then in a few days he goes back and he sets them all back again. And I'm telling you, I stood there and I listened to this. That was the strangest story I ever heard. So on the way home I asked Danny, I said, would that really work? And he said, no, he's just giving me a story. But I believed him at the time.
Okay, so one more question, one last question please for our panel. What's the most fulfilling part of beekeeping?
The honey.
The honey. Gene?
I would have to say mentoring new beekeepers. You know, it's really part of the whole process. I helped these 7 families I mentioned before down in St. Charles. They were Amish and kind of a horse lover myself. And just to tell a little story, I was helping them install bees. You know, when the packages came, I picked them up and took them down. And this one place, he said, well, we have to go through the pasture and up this hill and over. It was muddy. I have an Astrovan, but it wasn't going to go where he was going to go. I said, how are we going to get the bees over there? You know, the packages. He had this buckboard wagon with a team of horses. So we loaded everything up there and went through the pasture and up. And it was their first experience with packages. It was kind of fun that day.
Actually, the most fulfilling thing I was giving presentations and talking. Schools are fantastic. If you can get into a school, especially the 7th to 9th grade, 6th grade schools, they're really, really interesting, and they really love it. Especially if you take a little bit of honey and a cracker, and then everything gets sticky from then on.
You know, bees are just a wonder. If there's a more highly evolved insect on the planet, I don't know what it would be. But it's just being around such a fascinating species. And everything about them. Just their stinging mechanism is a miracle. The fact that they can make wax out of honey, remarkable. And that they could build this honeycomb. I don't know what the ratio is, but a pound of wax will hold 12 pounds of honey or something like that, and more than that. And if you had a pound of honey in your hand and you were challenged to create something that would hold 20 pounds of honey, you wouldn't believe it was possible. It doesn't seem possible. Just everything, just honey, to make honey out of nectar from flowers. Just everything that the bees do, the fact that they can be alive out there when it's 10, 20 below zero for a week and the wind is howling. I look out the window and I think nothing could survive. And I know that they can, but I still don't believe it. And then you go out when it warms up a little bit to 10 above or 20 below above, and you put your ear down there and you wrap it and you hear the bzzz, and I'm just stunned. So bees are such a miraculous species, and the things that they do are so sci-fi, if you really stop and think about it. I just enjoy being around the bees because I know that they're so incredible. I don't know any other species that have these myriad characteristics that are, each one of them is remarkable in themselves. It's just a blessing to be in their presence. Yeah, I like honey, and yes, I like mentoring new beekeepers, and yes, I like going to the 6th grade class and dressing up the kids in my coveralls and veil, and hearing the laughter and teaching kids about a little bit about bees in a half an hour. But for me, it's just being in the apiary and being with the bees, knowing how remarkable they are, even after all these years, and knowing the bee biology and so forth. I still can't believe it. They're such a astoundingly miraculous, tiny little social creature that can make honey out of flowers and build wax out of honey, and so on and so on and so on. Just being around bees is just enjoyable.
I got most of my fulfillment with having the bees was studying the biology of the bee and learning about it, and then taking that information and trying to get every hive to produce honey every year. And I did do that, and I ended up with a 10-year average of 127 pounds per colony. And that included every colony, not just the best ones.
I got something I want to say, but I really don't know how to do it. I would like to build on what my partner right here next to me said. I used to be a school teacher, and I taught in corrections in Redmond for a few years when they had a lot of juveniles there. And I've seen how people respond to education or don't respond. The bees have given me the broadest education I've ever could have in life. The one goal I wanted in life was to be independent and to do something I loved. Well, I've been in factories, I've been on a farm, I've been in, like I say, education, and I could not get along too well with teachers that taught evolution, because there's so much in a bee world that fights that. So maybe there's a whole lot of you who are doing that right here, and that's why I don't know where to go. But I don't know how you can look at a bee and what's happening to them and stand on that principle very well.
Well, thank you very much for our Graybee panel. I enjoyed it. It was like listening to my Auntie A and my grandfather, just listening